My name is Wang Dafu, I am 25 years old and a fitness trainer. 8 years ago, my parents died unexpectedly. Distant cousin uncle will receive me to his home. In order to thank them for my stay, I not only recognized the couple as their godparents, but also promised to inherit the company to its management. Originally, the days are also quite smooth, but I do not know how the last 2 years I that aspect of the more and more powerful, once the feeling is again quite time and long. And not only that, especially in the gym to see a beautiful woman, I cannot help but towards it stick up. This day I was giving myself extra training, a woman in yoga clothes came to my front, bending over, rounded buttocks like waving at me. I tried to restrain myself from looking, but the more I didn't allow it inside, the more my eyes stared straight up and down at the woman. As if the woman also felt my strange eyes, she was like catering to the general, constantly twisting her body, in my direction, began to do forward drive. Originally the neckline was big. Once I leaned down that pair of huge plumpness directly in front of my eyes, immediately I was a bit unable to control my desire. "Ma'am, you'll hurt yourself like that, let me help you," I said, deliberately showing the muscles on my body towards her. The woman towards me a charming smile, "That people will not well, you to teach me." Between words, she approached towards me, with a burst of aroma approaching, I directly dragged her waist, upper body gently affixed to her buttocks. The woman couldn't help but let out a low cry. I instantly wrapped her in front of me with one hand, and when I touched the soft skin, a warm current seemed to be traveling through my waist. However, just as I wanted to go further, a loud roar came from behind me. "What are you doing, you?" The man's voice was filled with anger. I immediately let go of the woman in front of me, and the woman was obviously also a little flustered to keep a distance from me, and then explained towards the man, "Husband, he is a coach, and he just helped me correct my posture." "Coach? I see he's a hooligan." The man said, or grabbed my collar, threatened to find the boss theory. I see the situation, hurriedly apologized, "Brother, really sorry, just let you misunderstand." "Misunderstanding? Where is your boss? I'll see how he teaches the employees under his hand." The man remained unforgiving. As the sound line became louder, the people around also slowly gathered over. "The boss Chang is my senior in the university period, see the scene," hurriedly came to relieve me. After all, it is a customer, and the gym people and more, in order to avoid bad influence, eventually exempted these two people a month's fee to end the matter. After the end, Chang let me rest at home for a few days. He told me to adjust my state, and then I went home. When I got home, I was about to open the door and realized that I didn't have my keys, so I frowned and called my godfather to ask him when he would be home. When I got through to him, he said he was away on a business trip and told me that the kitchen faucet was broken, so I shouldn't forget to call someone to fix it. However, the good thing is that the godfather has always had the habit of leaving a spare key. I look at the door into the home, looking at the empty living room, think of the things that happened during the day. Inside, a violent burst of loss drifted past. It seems that this fitness instructor can no longer be done, in case of the next time to make a mistake, may also involve Chang. I calmly thought for a while, then decided to wait for my godfather to come back and discuss with him to go back to work in the company. At least that is the foundation left by my father, before not willing to do because I don't like it, but at the moment this problem is getting worse and worse. It seems that the only way to be at ease is to go back to work for your own family's company. Thinking of this, my mood a lot better. Immediately after, I am ready to take a good shower and then go back to the room to rest. However, just as I was getting undressed and ready to go into the bathroom, I found a strip of pink intimate apparel above the sink. I couldn't help but take it in my hand and put it between my noses to smell it. It smelled so good. At that time, my mind appeared in my godmother Zhao Meifeng's figure, a 38-year-old plump woman, perhaps because she was once a dancer, that body so far had kept the front convex and back curvature. Especially her long slender thighs and plump upper body, I had imagined her countless times during my adolescence. If such a woman were to be pressed underneath me and desperately claimed, how soothing it would be, and at the thought of grasping her softness and caressing it back and forth, I had no choice but to start feeling sensations in my upper body. With that heat wave coming out frequently, I squinted my eyes and put the snug clothes with Zhao Meifeng scent underneath me, but just when I wanted to self-release a little bit, the sound of the door opening rang out from outside the door. "Is Dafu back?" Zhao Meifeng's voice came from far away. Da Fu, why are you off work so early today? As I spoke, I panicked and threw the clothes in my hand to the side, but it was already too late. The bathroom door was half covered, and Zhao Meifeng directly pushed the door open. Huge tension makes my body rapidly expand, Zhao Meifeng red face and wide eyes looking straight at my waist. Only after half a minute did she cover her face in embarrassment and said, "Big. Da Fu, why don't you close the door when you take a shower? I'm going to cook, you can eat after you wash." Dry. Godmother, I said, covering my own body underneath, and said, "Good, I will wash this." Looking at Zhao Meifeng close the door, I hate cannot find a hole in the ground to drill in, simply too humiliating. Even worse is that today's extra quiet, see this situation for a moment and a half of the still cannot go down. However, just when I wanted to use cool water to suppress it, there was a scream from Zhao Meifeng outside the door. A voice line trembled, seems to be scared by something. I listened to not care much, pick up the bath towel wrapped in the upper body and rushed out, came to the kitchen only to find that the original water from the faucet shoots in all directions, splashing everywhere, but also Zhao Meifeng all drenched. Seeing me come over, Zhao Meifeng directly jumped into my arms. "Da Fu, this. What's going on? You hurry to turn off the water." "Okay, I'll do it, Godmother, you don't move here," I said, and went forward to stuff it with a towel on the side, and then turned off the water valve directly. When I turned around, Zhao Meifeng was squatting on the ground to wipe the water stains. The angle of condescension made her voluptuous upper body directly in front of my eyes. The original figure is enchanting, by the water so wet, inside almost by me to see a naked, let me even more difficult to restrain is, her inside actually nothing to wear. This woman is also too open, I think uncontrollably towards her close, she seems to deliberately general high pouting their own buttocks. Seeing that it was getting closer and closer, I couldn't help but stick over, slowly lifting up the bottom of her skirt between touches. "Don't mess around," Da Fu, Zhao Meifeng said, and also twisted hard in my direction. I instantly held her against me with one hand. "Godmother, your body is really good. Aren't you still the same? It's too big there." Godmother is afraid that she can't stand it, Zhao Meifeng said as she spread her legs at me. As soon as the words left my mouth, I held her in my arms and took the opportunity to pull off my own bath towel and stick it towards her buttocks. Just when I was about to get close to happiness, a sharp ringing interrupted the warmth between Zhao Meifeng and I, and pulled my sanity back. After both sides stared at each other for a few seconds, I hurriedly released Zhao Meifeng, and she somewhat shyly pushed me aside gently, then picked up the phone. "It looks like it's my godfather calling." After calming down, I felt that I really shouldn't, after all it's my own godmother. In case something really happens, I still don't know how to explain to my godfather. Thinking of this, I re-wrapped up the towel and drilled back to the room, but just that fire is always in the inner dissipate not to go, not only cannot restrain but more and more burning, more and more intense. Seeing underneath the body gradually swelling, on the verge of being unable to control the place, I decided to first lower the fire, so the side of Zhao Meifeng's beautiful buttocks on the side of the self-attack. But not after a few seconds, I heard Zhao Meifeng's voice from outside the door. "Da Fu, you come out for a moment to do me a favor." Now, I said, trying to restrain my slightly trembling voice. Zhao Meifeng returned, "Right now, I'll wait for you in my room." Listening to this somewhat shy vocal line, my heart was completely dazzled, and the only sanity I had was also left behind. Then I put on my pajama pants and came to Zhao Meifeng's room. As soon as I entered the door, I saw that half of her upper body's skirt had fallen off, and a large portion of her snow-white skin was exposed. Seeing me standing in the doorway, she turned towards me with a red face and said, "Da Fu, come over and help me zipper it up." "Good," I said and gulped as I approached her. Just as soon as I touched, Zhao Meifeng was as close to cartilage as she was straight into my arms, and under the dim light, her fingers touched my muscles a little bit. I was ruffled all over my body, my hands didn't know what to do for a moment, when Zhao Meifeng grabbed my hand and pressed it against her own skin. "Da Fu, am I beautiful?" Zhao Meifeng said, looking at me with winks. My breathing became rapid, the fire inside of me kept rushing outwards, the entire waist was more like countless small insects crawling, so itchy and numb. Seeing my silence, Zhao Meifeng simply turned around and burrowed into my arms, her softness came to my face, I was so excited that my body trembled. At the moment, I was growing vigorously underneath me, and my voice trembled slightly as I said, "Godmother, you're so beautiful, especially this." As I spoke, my hand followed her curves all the way down. This was the first time I had ever touched this woman so close. She had filled my entire adolescence. I didn't think I would have such a day. I'll have to serve her well in a while. Thinking of this, I lifted Zhao Meifeng up directly. She obediently hooked my neck and climbed directly onto my body. "Dafu, today you're going to give your godmother a good pain. Your godfather has been treating me more and more poorly in the past few years. He must have disliked me for being old." "How can that be, godmother? You have a better body than when you were younger," I said as I couldn't wait to test towards her neckline. No wonder Zhao Meifeng threw an olive branch at me. So it's because godfather can't satisfy her anymore, and no wonder her age is the strongest time in that area. It just happens to be intertwined with this me. Thinking of this, I directly pull open her collar. All over the body is like being burned by the fire. General ruffled strange itch to the extreme. Seeing that I am going to, Zhao Meifeng pressed underneath the body hard to enjoy. Then the door actually rang, accompanied by the sound of closing the door. I panicked directly. Zhao Meifeng pushed away. In addition to Zhao Meifeng, the door of the home is the godfather has a key, but he is not traveling. How come he came back at this time and spoiled my good deed? With the sound of footsteps approaching, Zhao Meifeng pushed me into the closet next to me, not allowing me to react. Also threw my pants into my face. Close the locker door. The man entered the room, cannot see clearly. Look, but that body type, look how not quite like godfather. Not waiting for me to react, the man will directly. Zhao Meifeng directly pounced, the two people into the quilt. With the quilt undulating up and down, the entire room echoed with Zhao Meifeng and the man's heavy panting. This made the fire that I had just extinguished ignite once again, and at the moment, I was still standing up underneath me, and through the gap in the cupboard, I could not help but feel numb when I saw the two of them entangled between the quilt. Following the ebb and flow of the voices, I reached down towards my bottom and tested it, the babbling sounds making my breath catch. After a few soothing moments, I leaned limply against the cabinet, and the two under the covers gradually regained their original calm. Because of too much excitement coupled with the thin air in the cabinet, in no time I slowly fell asleep, and I don't know how long it took. I woke up in a burst of aches and pains, and when I opened my eyes it was dawn outside. When I came out of the cupboard, my godfather wasn't at home while Zhao Meifeng was freshening up. When she saw me come out she was first startled, then she looked towards me with eyes full of apologies. "Dafu, it's all my fault that I forgot about you last night," Zhao Meifeng said walking towards me. "You didn't sleep well all night, make up for it today." I looked around and saw that no one was there, so I wrapped my arms around her waist. "Godmother, with such a light sentence from you, I stayed in the closet all night." "All right, stop it," Zhao Meifeng said with a red face and burrowed towards my arms. The words just fell. The sound of the door opening sounded outside, followed by godfather walking in with his luggage. At that time my entire body froze in place. So that dry dad just came back, that last night. I thought of looking toward Zhao Meifeng. She did not dare to look at me. Just one and dry dad greeted. Seeing my somewhat surprised look, godfather toward me said, "Dafu, what's wrong? Don't recognize godfather anymore?" No, I slept too late last night. I was a bit confused for a while," I said and hurriedly burrowed back into my room. It didn't take long for me to hear the unusual sounds of two people coming from the next room. This Zhao Meifeng's craving in that area is really not small. Last night she tossed and turned all night, and now she's entangled with her godfather. No wonder she said she couldn't get satisfied. Think of this. I decided to temporarily Zhao Meifeng cheating thing swallowed into the stomach. After all, this matter has become a big loss of only me. These years, godfather running his father's company earned a lot of money. I do not like these assets. We're not wanting to do the person divided into half. So this after a few days the three of us have maintained a normal relationship, living. Only occasionally hear two people make out slightly embarrassed. I thought that we could lie peacefully like this, but just when I offered to go back to work at my family's company, Zhao Meifeng took advantage of her godfather's absence to say that she wanted to thank me for keeping her secret. "Godmother, how do you want to thank me?" I said as I hooked Zhao Meifeng's jaw. "I've been going crazy hearing about you and godfather together these past few days." Zhao Meifeng smiled and touched my face. "There's no rush, Dafu. hasn't that always confused you? Godmother has found someone for you that can definitely help you. Help me? I said, coming closer. I went to the hospital and the doctor said that I need to tone up and exercise. It's best to vent more. Why don't you let me vent now, Godmother? Zhao Meifeng smiled and held the hand that I was going to try to explore her neckline. Don't make a fuss, wait until you see someone else. Looking at Zhao Meifeng's mysterious look, I couldn't push back any further, so I had to obediently follow her out the door. 10 minutes later, the car stopped at the entrance of a private plastic surgery clinic. Looking inward, I could vaguely see men and women wrapped in gauze coming and going inside. Godmother, what did you bring me here for? I said as I was about to turn around and walk away. At this time, a crisp laugh came from behind me. Honey, your godson is quite handsome, hurry up and come in, I'm all set. Hearing the voice, I slowly turned around. That was the first time I saw Hu Ting. She was wearing a white coat with translucent skin and a plump figure, especially that upper body plumpness. It looked like it was one size bigger than Zhao Meifeng. Ting Ting, that's not true, we're coming. Zhao Meifeng said and pulled me in. Arriving at the innermost office, Hu Ting signaled me to sit on the chair across from her first, and immediately after she put on her gloves and came up and started pulling on my pants. A red face then tugged on her hand. That. Who? Dr. Hu, what are you doing? Checking. How can I know what's wrong if I don't take a look at this? Hu Ting said, frowning toward Zhao Meifeng. Let you this godson do not move, or delayed time, a moment I cannot have time. Zhao Meifeng saw the situation came to my side, she reached out and pressed my arm. Da Fu, bring you here is to check, you don't nervous, Ting Ting is a professional, obediently go back to Godmother on. Give you a surprise. Between the words, Zhao Meifeng also cannot stop throwing winks at me. I thought of what she promised me, the upper body cannot help but begin to gradually flourish. Seeing that I didn't resist, Hu Ting stripped me of my pants, and I was directly displayed in front of the two women's eyes. My red face is a little uncomfortable, but Hu Ting looks particularly excited. She seems to be extremely restrained. General slowly close. Immediately after reaching out to touch nearby, and then came forward to carefully survey some, with the warm nostrils drifting past, I there again a little bigger. Deifu, you, this is also too surprising, I have never seen such exciting shape. Hu Ting said while still unable to get closer. I was a little embarrassed and said, Dr. Hu, you hurry up, otherwise it will be bigger in a while. How does it feel now? Hu Ting said and gently touched it, it seems quite healthy. I turned my head to the side and shivered slightly, it's a little hot, and a little itchy. Hu Ting said and handed me a small transparent syringe, you go, I will come in a while. I took the syringe and looked at Zhao Meifeng. She smiled at me and waved her hand, go, in a while Ting Ting won't have time to check you if she's busy. While speaking, Zhao Meifeng's cell phone rang, and without saying anything more I walked towards the innermost treatment room. After I went in, the decoration inside made me blush. This place looked like it was used to get that thing. All four sides were full of pictures of those entangled between men and women, and right across the room there was also a passionate little short movie playing. What's up? Do you need my help? Hu Ting said as she walked over to me. As she spoke, her hand began to undo my belt. I looked at the plumpness of her neckline and couldn't help but say in the end a mouthful of cool air, Hu. Dr. Hu, I'll do it myself. Shy what, this thing I'm the most skillful, you come still don't know if you can reach the standard. Hu Ting said untying her white coat. At that moment, her concave and convex body is directly under my eyes, and then she is a little bit closer to me, and the swaying plumpness keeps provoking my heart. But I don't know how, when she leaned closer to me, the more I feel where it's not right, so immediately towards her, Hu. Dr. Hu, or not trouble you. Okay, then I'll give you guidance from the side. Hu Ting said then no longer toward me close, she also gave me hand over a cup of water, get before drinking water, good out. Good thing too, I was thirsty just now, so I'll drink some water to let this thing come out a little more, and finish early to go back to linger with Zhao Meifeng. Thinking of this, I will be in the quilt of water a drink, however began to undo his belt, looking around those blushing images, underneath the body immediately began to come to feel. Just as I was about to get it on, a pair of hands appeared in front of my eyes, followed by a burst of warmth felt on my back. Who? Dr. Who, I said, trying to break free. Hu Ting wrapped her arms around me, and her mouth kept emitting a shy, low chirping sound. Da. Dafu, you're quick. This sound makes my body tingle. At once the desire inside was amplified to the maximum. With Hu Ting constantly teasing me, I can no longer endure. Immediately turned around and embraced Hu Ting. I was like completely uncontrollable. General directly Hu Ting pressed underneath. Hu Ting was half pushed and half asserted into my arms, and she moved closer to me, her nose lingering in my ear. In the dimly lit room, I felt like I was being controlled by something. When I pounced on Hu Ting, my mind became almost blank, as if I only heard Hu Ting's gasping breath and her cries for help. Yes, cries for help. Why would Hu Ting have cries for help? I thought and opened my eyes violently. At this moment, my godfather and Zhao Meifeng were standing in front of me with serious looks. Seeing me wake up, godfather said towards me, Dafu, don't worry, I will definitely help you. Yes, Dafu, now Dr. Who is just unconscious, don't be afraid, we will all help you. Zhao Meifeng said, trying to pull my hand. However, she was blocked by a uniformed person on the side. All right, since the person is awake, rest for a while and we'll take him back. Everything in front of me makes me start to panic. I don't know what to do and open my eyes wide. The silver bracelet on my hand is biting my wrist in death. What the hell is going on here? How did Hu Ting pass out? I turned toward my godfather and said, she is not my harm, clearly. Obviously it is you who violated the attempted mutilation of others, but also have the nerve to say that you did not do anything. A moment to go back to have to tell us clearly. The man in uniform glanced toward me. I immediately got a little agitated and said, what did I do? You guys tell me that Hu Ting's coma really has nothing to do with me. Seeing that I wanted to resist, the man in uniform directly pressed me down. What you did will be known in a moment. As soon as he finished speaking, he pulled me up and immediately pushed me to the next ward, pointing at Hu Ting, who was still wearing an oxygen mask. Look at yourself, are you still a human being? For there on that little thing, the human doctor into this. I really didn't. I said, trying to explain, but how can my mind not recall those fragments? Seeing that I could not explain, the man in uniform took me away. I was locked up inside for 2 days, and on the 3rd day at noon my godfather came to see me. As soon as he met me, he said with a hesitant face, Dafu, Dr. Who is still not fully awake, and now the company is facing financing, the legal person can't be tainted. The first thing I came to see you today is to help you bail out, and the second thing is that I hope you can temporarily transfer the company's equity to me, so that I can become a legal person with real power. And then when the company succeeds in going public, I'll give it back to you. In fact, no matter for what reason, I will not object to this matter. Just at this time to raise this matter with me, let me always feel where some wrong. But I am now inside, completely without personal freedom. Even if I want to figure out the truth of the matter is also directly restricted. Thinking of this, I had to agree to my godfather's request for the time being, and when he saw me nodding, he looked very excited. I was bailed out after a few hours, but I didn't go home with my godfather directly. Instead I told him that I wanted to go to the gym to get some things and then go back. When I got to the gym, I saw Chang, and from his mouth I learned another truth about what happened. Dafu, it's good that you're okay, but there's one thing I have to remind you about. Just the woman you said is related to your godfather. Chang said and pointed to the picture on my phone. I saw them both doing that in the locker room of my gym earlier, and your godfather even gave me $20,000 just to shut me up. I was shocked and said directly, brother, why didn't you tell me about this? How can I tell you directly about your family's affairs? The key is that your godfather is so rich, it's normal to have a lover, right? Brother Chang said and looked at me, but I chose to tell you today because of what you said about the transfer of shares. I think this matter needs to be investigated. Hearing Chang's words, that suspicion in my heart was expanding. Everything that happened seemed to start with me getting stronger in that area. So I took out the healthcare pills that Zhao Meifeng had bought for me, and I asked Chang to find a reliable drug identification center to help me look at the ingredients of the pills. As expected, the pharmacist that Chang found quickly gave me the ingredients of the drug, which has a kind of drug that stimulates that thing. Then it all seems to gradually start to make sense. But in order to verify my guesses close to the truth, I was still ready to start with Zhao Meifeng. This time I want to give myself a clean slate. Taking that test report, I gave Zhao Meifeng a phone call. I intentionally mentioned on the phone before she cheated on things. After seeing the face, Zhao Meifeng started toward me. Dafu, your matter we will help you solve, but you cannot directly threaten me. At least I am your godmother. What do you mean? Didn't you introduce me to Hu Ting? What exactly is the relationship between you two, or do you know about her and godfather? I looked at her and said bluntly. Zhao Meifeng heard my words, did not imagine surprised, but at me smiled bitterly. Your godfather. Rich men will be like this, precisely because he is like this. I find some fun on my own. This is not wrong, right? Then you know Hu Ting. This was all planned by you guys a long time ago, right? I said, turning towards her, trying to control my anger. Zhao Meifeng glanced at me. Dafu, you can't say that nonsense. Obviously I had good intentions. Who knew you wanted to treat Hu Ting like that? Zhao Meifeng, stop pretending. This is the test report of that health pill. Clear evidence. As long as I hand it over, you will be arrested. I said and handed it to her. And the matter of your cheating, maybe you don't have his evidence in your hand, but I have your evidence. Anyway, that man already has other women, and when the time comes to divorce you, a dime won't be given to you. No. No. Zhang Yuannian promised this thing into give me $1 million and then let me go. Zhao Meifeng looked at me and shouted out of control. Before she finished speaking, she covered her mouth in horror. I got up and pulled her hand. Godmother, at this time you still want to help him? Just now we said all the words for me to record. You just tell the truth. This time if you help me to clear my name, I will definitely thank you. Such a big family business, not to mention 1 million, 2 million by then I will give you. Under my soft and hard, Zhao Meifeng will be the whole thing and out. It turns out that as early as 2 years ago, the company was put on the track of listing. Just because Zhang Yuannian has selfishness, he wants to swallow. My parents left me all the assets, and he is not my distant cousin uncle. He is one of the company's partners or a small shareholder, and the death of my parents and he has a certain relationship. Seeing me gradually grow up, he began to become more and more insecure. Power continues to devour his sanity, and finally he decided to introduce me into the trap. That's why the healthcare pills appeared, and then the incident with Hu Ting. In fact, he utilized both Zhao Meifeng and Hu Ting to the fullest. After listening to Zhao Meifeng's words, I felt shaky, but fortunately under my persuasion and the conditions I offered, Zhao Meifeng agreed to help me trip up Zhang Yuannian together. But she alone is not enough, so I signed the transfer agreement before and privately fined the company's other shareholders. They are my parents' very good friends. After listening to my words, they told me that over the years they are also because of the suspicion that Zhang Yuannian harmed my parents, so they also looked for a lot of strong evidence. Finally, in our common prosecution, my innocence was confirmed. Zhang Yuannian was also sent directly in, and when I inherited the company, the first thing to do is end Zhao Meifeng completely crazy. After all, that 2 million is not good to take.